Hey everybody, it's Big Daddy Liberty here, your favorite fat boy. Welcome to the Big Liberty Show, and shout out to the Frederick Naumann Foundation for sponsoring this video. Guys, we're talking crime, and we've got our head of campaigns here, Marius Ruud, and we were just talking about crime levels since the 90s. It's a big issue, Marius. Where are we at the moment?
Well, Sihle, crime since the 90s, if we measure by murder rate, has actually come down quite a lot. In the mid-90s, murder rate in South Africa peaked at about 65 murders for every 100,000 people, and that declined steadily till about 5 years ago. But unfortunately, that's been climbing down in the last 5 years, and we have now a murder rate of about 36 murders for every 100,000 people. That is the 10th highest murder rate in the world, according to the United Nations. And out of countries with more than 30 million people, it's the second highest after Venezuela, which is basically a failed state. And out of countries with 50 million people, it's the highest in the world. Brazil is after us. So it's something to be quite concerned about.
Those are scary numbers.
Yeah.
And I think what makes it even more scarier for your everyday South African is whether the police are on top of it and whether we can even trust the police. What are we looking at on that front?
Well, we've seen some issues in the police with the hollowing out of the leadership within the police. We've seen issues of corruption going back within the higher levels of police leadership, going back to Jackie Selebi and so on, in involvement with organised crime. And we recently released a report called Broken Blue Line Theory, which is the third in our Broken Blue Line series, looking at police involvement in serious crime. And unfortunately, we still found there were many incidents where police were involved in serious crime, where there was high levels of corruption or murdering people and so on. It's something to be worried about. At the same time, we've also seen the public trust in police also come down. Statistics South Africa does a victims of crime survey every couple of years, and we've seen that people's trust and faith in the police is on a steady decline, which is something to be worried about.
I'm very worried about that, because any society that is founded on freedom and liberty and seeking to build a property-owning and prosperous nation has to have a strong rule of law, and of course, the one function of the state, which is enforcing law, being efficient in doing so. So if we're saying that we have these sort of problems at the moment, then surely we need to move in a more innovative way, maybe look at increasing community involvement in policing. Can you give me three ideas that we can maybe push out to the public and say, look, these are the sort of ideas that the Institute for Race Relations is suggesting to the public on how we can get on top of beating crime?
Well, we've come up with 3 ideas in our Broken Blue Line report. One was to allow communities to elect their station commander, making station commanders accountable to the public rather than a mandarin sitting in Pretoria or whatever the case may be. Another thing that we've thought we could possibly punt is giving people tax rebates on what they do to secure their home and whether they pay for security companies.
Absolutely, and I want to interject quickly there, because that's a big thing. I mean, I obviously have based myself in Cape Town for quite a while, and crime also happens there. But when I moved to Johannesburg, I realized the amount of investment people have made into private security for their homes. High walls, electric fencing, the burglar bars, ADT, the works, you name it. And I think a rebate on that in terms of your taxes will go a long way in incentivizing people to take ownership and responsibility of their safety.
Just as an aside, I lived in the UK for a year and a half, and you get something called reverse culture shock when you come back to your own country. One of the strangest things for me was, after living in London, was seeing again all the high walls and so on. You get used to it obviously very quickly, but one of the things you notice when you come back to South Africa after having been away for a while. So, and then the final thing is we think we should strengthen neighbourhood watches, and they should work with security companies and in time perhaps with the police as well.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree. Marius, thank you so much for your time, homie. Guys, it's quite simple. I mean, no society should be living the way in which we do, with high crime, people being always on edge and worried, and it doesn't bode well for the parent trying to look after their family and their kids if security and just basic things like safety are not being looked after as they should be. So absolutely, I support the ideas that we pushed out here, and Big Daddy Liberty will be touring the country next year talking about some of these solutions and how these interventions could really help in changing the crime outlook in this country and maybe even minimizing it or even eradicating crime. These ideas are central to who we are as an institute, and I'm asking you guys to support us. Become a friend of the institute by SMSing your name to 32823, and terms and conditions do apply, but one of our ladies will give you a call and sign you up. And again, our average monthly donations from each person is about $90, so we're not asking for a lot, but it really counts, or rather adds up in terms of supporting us. So join the thousands of South Africans who are already supporting the institute, and let's help get these ideas out into the public. As I said, major shout out to the FNF for supporting this video, and I will see you in the next one.